We have today a black box search engine. And so what it's trying to do is, for every search query, look at 115 million items, pull the, let's say, 6,000 or so that it thinks are most relevant, and then rank from 1 to 6,000 your likelihood to purchase each one. That's at a very, very high level how Etsy works today. It's black box, it's magical, and it works pretty well.
So I discovered an audio recording of Josh Silverman talking about what he called the SEO black box. Basically, what makes it work and how it works now, but how it's going to work in the future. And it's really interesting because there's some things in there that are not really what you would think that would get people ranked or that would get people results in search. What I will say is they are working on using new tools, AI, to help in this, but there's also some things that a seller can do. They're also going to be possibly, and this was something that I found really interesting, possibly also showing us as sellers what we can do to improve our SEO and giving us, well, just where we stand, kind of like the star seller. With that all being said, I got my good friend and data guy, Chris Schaefer, and we're going to listen to this together. We've already listened to it, but we're going to listen to it again, let you listen to it, and then we are going to discuss it. So this here was the 40th annual Strategic Decisions Conference in 2024. Let me just say, this was hard to find. I heard about it. I forget where I heard someone talking about it. I went and looked for it, couldn't find it. I thought it would have been on YouTube. It wasn't on YouTube. So I said, it's got to be out there. So I did a little bit of digging. I found it. And then what I did is I was able to record some of it myself so I could share it with you because the SEO portion of this was very, very interesting. So that's what we're going to be listening to. And it's funny because you can hear the people there asking questions as if he was almost on trial. It's kind of funny. Like he was there and they're like, so what are you going to do about this? And what are you going to do about that? There's also other parts of this that we're going to be doing in the future that have other aspects of Etsy that he was kind of grilled about. So we'll be publishing those as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. So let me go ahead and get it to the spot here where it's right in the beginning, right about there. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Right now that I am especially excited about is we're evolving the way that search works. We've been very focused on search over the past number of years to focus on relevance. So when you ask for something, we give you what you meant, not what you said. Search for dog scoops on Etsy, you're going to get dog scoops, not anything else. Search for, by the way, wedding dresses, you're going to get wedding dresses, not wedding dress hangers, which is a really hard thing for a search engine to understand. And only using the power of things like Gen AI do we now understand the difference. But what we haven't had before is a real quality score to balance that. We have thousands of items that are so similar in relevance according to our search engine. So instead of having our sellers try to earn prominence through keyword stuffing, if you're a seller on Etsy and you Google, like, how do I get ranked higher on Etsy, you're going to see 10 YouTube videos about keyword stuffing. That's not what we want. That doesn't make the buyer experience better. It actually makes the buyer experience worse. Ship on time. Have a fair shipping price. Always get 5-star reviews. Respond to customer convos very quickly. Include a handwritten note. These are the things that customers care about. And when we can transparently surface quality scores to our sellers in their dashboard, here's how we rank the item quality of each of your items, and here's how we rank your service quality overall as a seller. And the better you do on these metrics, the more you earn your way to prominence in search. That's how we elevate the best of Etsy. That's how we make a uniquely human buying experience, and we create a race to the top. That's not only better for sellers because they have more agency, but it's better for buyers as well. That's something we're very hard at work at, and I'm very encouraged and optimistic by the opportunity there.
How much of an undertaking is that?
Big. We have today a black box search engine. And so what it's trying to do is, for every search query, look at 115 million items, pull the, let's say, 6,000 or so that it thinks are most relevant, and then rank from 1 to 6,000 your likelihood to purchase each one. That's at a very, very high level.
The likelihood,
the likelihood,
I got to get moving wherever that was there. The likelihood of you potentially buying it. So that's the interesting thing. And he said black box. So basically, like, okay, we're doing this off of what we're doing now, but this is going to evolve. Anything on that yet, Chris?
I'm starting to feel vindicated. So first, he talked about the YouTube videos and saying a lot of the YouTube videos that you see are talking about how to stuff keywords. Scott, remind me, is that something that we've said is a good SEO strategy?
Yeah, we've never said that. We never will, because we never believed that putting keywords in there necessarily is what their ranking factor is. We've always said the ranking factor, the biggest one is, yes, you want to put the keyword in there. The keyword, not like a whole bunch of keywords that you think that are like, oh, they might get found for this. There's usually 2 to 3 keywords that are being the drivers. But from there, it comes down to sales. And if there's something selling, then it's going to come down to, okay, let's say there's 4 items that are selling really well. Then what it's going to come down to? It's going to come down to that score. And part of that score is going to be your reviews. It's also going to be your conversion rate. There's all of these other aspects in there. And now it sounds like they're going to be moving towards the seller's score and how that's going to also help you in search.
Well, and so that's actually something that he mentioned in the recent video that they did, where they said, we're changing a lot of things. And they changed their AI policy, the image policy, and the listing categories. They kind of glazed over it. And so it's interesting to see, because this was a few months ago, or at least a few weeks ago. I forget exactly when this was, where they were talking about that. And now they've announced it publicly to sellers that they're going to be more transparent about this. I disagree where he says it's a black box. I get where he could say, okay, it is a black box because we don't tell sellers, right? We should tell sellers. Why wouldn't we tell sellers? Because if we're evaluating the right things, then it doesn't matter if sellers try to game the system. You can't you can't game good customer experience, right? And so if that's the thing that we're tracking, if we're tracking the product that is most likely to sell, which appears to be what they're doing anyway, which is the rant that you and I have gone on every time somebody asks us how Etsy SEO works. It's, does it qualify, right? He said, so we start with, 115,000 or 100, whatever the number of listings was. Then we say, what are the 6,000 most relevant? How do we rank those? By how likely they are to sell. Well, if we think logically about what that looks like, what are the things that indicate how likely it is to sell? Is it a brand new product? Does it have a sales history? If it has a sales history, how well does it convert? When someone converts, do they like the product? Meaning, did they leave a review and was it a good review, right? Mm-hmm. We can look at all of those things now, and that's how you and I have always approached SEO. So hearing them admit that now makes me feel a little bit vindicated. I'm curious to see what else they dive into here, but the fact that they're admitting that's how it works now and that they're going to be a little bit more transparent about it is really cool.
And I will say once again, like we created a guide about 1.5 years ago. And the guide, it doesn't need to be updated because it's basically what we've said from the beginning and nothing has changed. So if you guys want a copy of that, like I said, just put SEO in the comments and we'll make sure that we get you a copy. All right, I got to see where I was here.
Uniquely human buying experience, and we create a race to the top. That's not only better for sellers because they have more agency, but it's better for buyers as well. That's something we're very hard at work at, and I'm very encouraged and optimistic by the opportunity there.
How much of an undertaking is that?
Big. We have today a black box search engine. And so what it's trying to do is, for every search query, look at 115 million items.
All right, we already heard that part. Let me skip ahead here. I'm just a little bit, I don't want to miss anything.
Likelihood to purchase each one. It's at a very, very high level how Etsy works today. It's black box, it's magical, and it works pretty well. We've got to create an understandable and explainable search engine that works almost as well. And so factors like, do you consistently ship on time and do you consistently get 5-star reviews influence search in a really meaningful way. And it doesn't need to be as good as the black box model, because as soon as we can start to explain and make sellers' scores transparent to them, they'll raise their game in the areas that they need to, and that will make the buying experience better, will drive more frequency, and that will offset any loss in the benefit of an explainable model versus black box model. But first, the explainable model needs to get good enough, and we need to be able to start to explain to sellers how it works and train them. So it's going to be a bit of a journey, but it's a journey we're very focused on right now, and you should expect to see progress this year.
Does it roll out in phases and tests? How does that work?
That is how we normally do things, is we roll things out in phases, we test things, we learn what works, and also we need to bring our sellers along and we need to bring our buyers along. And so you usually see us iterate.
Okay. So, Chris, I love it that he says the magical box or the black box SEO is magical, right? And yeah, I guess it could be magical. But
the problem that I'm struggling with here is that he said, we have to come up with an explainable model. I mean, it's fairly explainable if you look at it the way that you and I have been talking about it. People tell me if I'm wrong, like if I'm missing something. Do the keywords that you use represent the search? And then how likely is someone to buy it versus the other products? All of those things are scoreable now. So I don't understand why we have to wait to the new model to be transparent. I'm a fan of win-wins for buyers. And I think one of the things that he said, and it sounds like it's a new thing, but it's really not, Scott. He mentioned shipping time and customer satisfaction, right? One of the things they're really trying to drive is an increase in conversion rate and an increase in repeat customers. Well, we already know that one of the things that influences conversion rate is shipping times and shipping cost, right? That's something they've been hammering on for the last 2 years at Etsy. And so the fact that they're openly now saying not only does shipping play a small role, but it will potentially play an even bigger role moving forward. And we get asked all the time, should I include free shipping to rank higher? And the answer is, it is a ranking factor that they tell us that they consider, but it's not really the end of the world. Now we're going to have a score that will show us as a seller, at least, whenever they fully decide to roll this out, did this make a difference in my rankability or not? And if so, then I'll continue to charge for shipping. Or if not, I'll charge for shipping. And if it did affect my rankability and my traffic, then I'll stop charging for shipping and take advantage of that extra little boost.
Yeah. And someone had said in the comments that it seems like this, it's like the star seller. You're right. They're giving you like what it takes to become a star seller. But then you ask yourself, well, what does a star seller do for me? Right. You're like, who sees that I'm a star seller? But if what they're saying is you're going to have a score, and the better your score is, it's going to give your listings more opportunity, because we're going to show those listings higher than someone that has a weaker score, right? And so I like that idea, and I'm really anxious to see when that rolls out. I'm not really thinking it's going to be before Q4. I think it'll probably be after the first of the year. Now, if they roll something out in beta, maybe, but I'm pretty excited about it because it will at least give us something and like he said, he's smart about this, where he said, we're going to show you what it takes to show up in search. And it's just like a star seller. We're going to show you how to become a star seller. How many people out there want to become a star seller? If you're not a star seller, how many want to become one? How many want to keep their star seller status? Even though you might think, does it really do anything? You still don't want to not be a star seller, because star seller is the best that you can be. Okay. And so that has worked to help sellers be quicker at responding, quicker at shipping, right? Following up, like it has. So what he's saying is, we've tested it over here with Star Seller, but now what if we gave people the thing that's really important to them that we hear a lot about, and that's SEO with search engines and getting ranked? Maybe we can use this model to get people to actually create a better user experience, a better buyer process. So this way here, they're getting something better, you're getting something better, and it's a win-win. So I think it's smart. I can't wait for this thing to roll out, but I'm just going to go back to what Chris and I have said so many times. It's not about finding the keyword and stuffing the keywords. So if that's what you're trying to do, I'm going to tell you right now, you're just wasting your time. Like I've told people time and time again, if you are just trying to find keywords or a keyword that you haven't found yet, because it's going to be that magical one that makes you rank, that keyword that you found that no one else has found probably doesn't get any searches. And you're going to probably rank on page 1. But what good is that? You want to rank for the top keyword, and everyone knows what your top keyword is. So how do you then compete against that? Sales. And then I know we're going to get the question, which is, well, how do I get sales? We've talked about that on past live streams, on videos. Really, the way that we look at it is in the beginning, you've got to sacrifice profits and you have to maybe reduce your price, maybe run ads or maybe both, and get the sales going. If you have an email list, push something for a week or two, get the sales coming through, get the reviews coming through, follow up with your customers. But it really does come down to common sense. And that's why we've talked about building a brand, right? If you're building a brand, we're communicating with a customer. We're making the customer happy. We're getting the customer to know more about us. That's what they want. They just stated this in their big breaking news announcement, making commerce human again. And so to me, this stuff is very obvious. It's been obvious. It's just now they're going to put something out there for you to kind of shoot for, which is also going to make you become a better seller to your customers. And I think it's also going to make the ones that are just keyword stuffing, the ones that are just trying to game the system, they're going to put them out of business, or at least they're going to put them out of search. So to me, I think it's a great thing. And I'm really looking forward to this. And I hope you guys are as excited as I am for what's to come with SEO.